We moved from our hotel in the old city to the fancy hotel the tour provided on top of a hill in the new city. Our itinerary is to visit the old city across the Golden Horn and shop the Grand Bazaar, which is really geared to the tourist trade, unlike the shopping areas that we saw in prior videos. The map shows the old city on the left. The new city is in the upper center. The Golden Horn separates them. The Bosporus separates European Istanbul from Asian Istanbul. The water at the bottom of the map is the Sea of Marmara.
City, and the old city clearly is a triangular peninsula, this one. South. So if you want to visualize the city's topography, you first have to divide it in two between east and west. And the Bosphorus is about 18 miles, 30 kilometers. And then the western half itself is divided into two by an estuary, which is shaped like a horn. Its shape is like the horn of an animal. Because at the top end, right at this upper end where my finger is, are two little streams flowing into the bay. So there are two streams flowing into the bay. Our part of the city, this part, from the peninsula. We're seeing the middle part of the bay. We're looking at it from up here. So we're seeing the middle part of the bay right now. This was just green. The city evolved and developed into this part and in the late 1800s and of course 1900s, and it just keeps going and going. Today 13 million people actually live here. Whose was it? 13 million. Was it yours? Oh, thank you very much. And the earliest people to establish a town in Istanbul were Byzas, 7th century BC. 7th century BC. So we could say as a town, the city is 2,700 years old. And we will now cross the middle bridge across the Golden Horn. Father Turk Bridge, Ataturk Bridge. Chandelier district on our left. You will see local and Italian chandeliers for sale in these shops on the left. And as we drive across the Golden Horn to the old city, the biggest for close to 900 years, there was nothing bigger than that. It is 1,500 years old. It's going to be on our itinerary today. And 8 o'clock, you see a complex of buildings with a tower, a tall tower, 8 o'clock. That's Topkapı Palace. At the moment you locate the tower and that hilltop location, you're looking exactly at the location where Byzas established the Greek city, 7th century BC. The same hill is now occupied by the Sultan's Palace, Topkapı Palace, where we will finish with our tour. So our tour of the old city will take in the grand covered bazaar, with which we will begin. Yes, because it's quiet now. It's not so hot now inside, it's all covered. Plus, it's very easy to get this. Of course, mostly they are lead or baked clay, but in the cities of Turkey, clay was abundant. And they preferred actually the baked clay terracotta to the metal pipes. So there was the aqueduct, 1,600 years old, from the 4th century. And coming up on either side of the highway are bicycle shops in this underpass. Bicycle shops, the best gift to buy for a circumcision ceremony. Yes, because Muslim boys, Turkey is 99.5% Muslim. Or in a car, if it's a big city, that's a big occasion to say. Giant-like excavation site, a big area which has been excavated. You might see a couple of plastic tents. One or two. See, like at the other end of the area, there's like a plastic tent. And then there's another one closer to us, and there's like crates, like plastic, blue plastic crates, you see? And little wooden sticks sticking out of the soil. maybe not that. Okay, that's too far. But the reason I showed you this excavation site is very important because they've been digging there for 6 years. Remains of shipwrecks, wooden shipwrecks. Yes, not the whole ship, of course, but parts of its hull and a lot of its cargo. A lot of its cargo. They found thousands of amphoras. The vessels, double-handed baked clay vessels in which wine, olive oil, and other goods were carried in the ancient world. They found, on top of that, 40,000 artifacts of all kinds. So they've been digging for, excavating for archaeological remains ever since, and the construction of the subway station has thus been delayed for a good purpose. And it is actually the biggest number of ships from the 10th and 11th centuries ever discovered anywhere in the world. It is the biggest explosion in the world of archaeology among the archaeologists. It's not on the level of the, front page news. It's not like an Egyptian pharaoh's mummy being discovered, but it's much more important than that because it gives us an idea about trade and lifestyle and all kinds of everything. Those sticks sticking out were the piers. It's wood piers that just got buried in the silt and that never disintegrated and deteriorated. And those tents were where some of those hulls of the ships are still protected under the tent, because the moment they find them, they have to keep them in water solutions, because the wood disintegrates if it gets into contact with the oxygen if it's not kept in water for a while. So they have all this desalinization processes, etc., etc. And recently they found, 3 months ago, they found burials of people going back to 6,000 BC. They found them buried in the fetal position with the knees drawn right up to the chin, with the arms around the legs, as if they were being prepared for a second birth in the womb of their mother. They were buried in that particular position, and they were kept in like wooden boxes. And they dated them to 6,000 BC, and now the history of the city has been taken back to the Neolithic period. Not as a town, but definitely as a place where people were living and burying their dead in a kind of ceremony. So that has taken the history of the city back many, many, many thousands of years. All of that took place in that giant excavation site that we were looking at just a few minutes ago. Now we're by the Sea of Marmara, so we literally drove all across the name from from Byzantium to the city of Constantine. Polis in Greek means city. So the moment you say Constantinopolis, it means city of Constantine. Constantine's city. Constantinople, in other words. Therefore, the reason the city is called after him is because he was the first emperor to come here, establish himself, and declare the city as the new capital, Neo-Roma, New Rome. And he said to himself, I don't want to call this city Byzantium. I don't want it to be called after a Greek. A pragmatic decision. The Christians had simply become too strong in society for him not to oversee them. He had to accept, he had to acknowledge the fact of a Christian society in the Roman lands, and he just had to go with the flow. Of course, his mother was a different story. She was a devout Christian all along. Her name was Helen. She found the grave of, and he said to the Muslims and Jews, you don't want our religion? Go away. We don't want to live with you. And that's what happened. The Jews were kicked out of Spain and Portugal in 1492. And those Jews, same Jews who became homeless, the Sultan, Turkish Muslim Sultan, said, he opened up his embrace and he said, come to me, come to me. So all these Jews were settled along the coastal cities of the Ottoman Empire. Their numbers in 1930 were 100,000, but after the establishment of the Israeli state in 1948, many of the poorer ones left Turkey to look for a good future there, and their numbers today are about 20 to 25,000. There are 22 active Jewish synagogues in the city of Istanbul today as I speak. Well, 25,000 is a big number. And that means 1,000 people per synagogue. If they're all going, of course, some of them are secular. So we are in the old city. So that's a breakout of the religious division of Turkey. As you can see, it is homogeneously Islamic. However, it is a secular state, which means the country is not ruled according to Islamic laws and religious laws. The country is ruled with secular civil laws. 1923. That's not so recent. 1923, it's going to be almost 100 years. Turkey is the only secular democracy in the world which has 99.5% Muslim population. There is no other predominantly Muslim nation in the world which is being ruled with secular multi-party parliamentary democracy anywhere else in the world. Anywhere else. Army's powers are being curbed, so there's more democratic rules being introduced to curb the army's role in politics. And the current government is trying to get the army back to its role of defending the country and, you know, not intervening in too much politics, but we can talk about those issues later. Coming up on our left is, of course, the Grand Covered Bazaar, which is one of the oldest covered markets anywhere in the
Hagia
world.
Sophia is the name
It
of the
has only
church
close
that
to
we passed.
3,500 shops.
Wall of the Sultan's Palace you see now.
Shops. And it's all covered with alleys and courtyards in between. It's been there, the building has been there since the 1400s, late 1400s. But as you can imagine, Istanbul being an earthquake city, it's like California as a matter of fact, so San Franciscans can feel at home here. There's constant tremors all the time, most of which we don't ever feel. Such an earthquake city, of course, this bazaar building got damaged a couple of times in its history. A couple of giant fires spread through the building. Consequently, it has been rebuilt many times. But it's a very atmospheric place. The shopkeepers speak a zillion languages from Mongolian to Swahili. And usually they're very, very handsome and very sort of, you know, they know how to appeal to your sense of humor, and they will approach you saying, how can I help you spend your money, and things like that. It's all fun. It's a great place for knickknacks and souvenirs. But for more serious stuff, you need obviously much more time and more cunning. But it's fun, it's fun. So you're gonna have some time to walk around, take pictures, and have an idea about what a bazaar looks like. Almost free, of course, cheaper than water, almost free. You know, every shopkeeper has either a brother or an uncle or a cousin who happens to live right in the state and city where you live. So that's the best way to start a conversation, and that's nothing wrong with that. As long as you're not too gullible, you know, everybody's trying to make a living, they're trying to sell stuff, and it's just part of their technique. At this harika, wonderful is harika. At this hour of the day, the best line is, oh, you're the first customer, please, you're gonna bring luck to me. The first customer of the day. Yeah, sure. It's marketing. Marketing sales. Yeah, well, you gotta pay a lot for that one because that Turkish bath featured in the famous best-selling book 1,000 Places to Die Before You See. No, to see before you die. Oh, you don't want to die there. Well, you could be a character from a murder mystery about Istanbul. There's now murder mysteries written about Istanbul and the history, and that could be a nice plot, somebody being murdered on the navel stone in the Turkish bath. This one, let's see. Look at the bark and you can tell yourself, the trunk, it's a sycamore. If it's camouflage like this, sycamore is a kind of plane. So you another sycamore or two on either side, making an archway to us, to the road. You can see the narrow streets to get to the bazaar. You can imagine how busy they are with tour buses later in the day, so...
You almost have to feel sorry for a bus driver here.
Yeah.
do certain stores close? Yes, only if the guy is a very religious person, and if he owns the store, he can close his store, as he can close it anytime he likes, and maybe that's a better answer. Perfect. But on any other time, on any other 5 prayers of the day, you will never see stores closing. But on Fridays, only once a week, you might see certain stores closing, but again, most of them will still be open, because even the guy who goes praying leaves an assistant to keep the shop open. But if he's the only one in the store, and if he is very religious, he goes and locks it up. Perfect.
Sound check.
Yes, please.
What about public restrooms?
Where are the restrooms? I'm going to show you.
Thank you.
Show you. There used to be some over here, but this one is closed.
One is modern WC.
All right, let's all look at our watches.
Right in front of me.
9:45. It's already 9:45. Okay. Why don't we meet at 10:45, right here in the bus park? Okay. And I'll take you to the main street of the bazaar, which is just a short walk to here, so you know where to come back out. 10:45, we will meet right here, and any particular shopping bags you might have, you can...
Kolay gelsin.